Chinese balloons have flown into Taiwan's airspace dozens of times in recent years, according to the Financial Times. The U.S. shoots down 3 unidentified flying objects near its airspace. Environmentalists are outraged after graffiti is found on Taiwan's coral reefs. And
I'm Ed Moon for TaiwanPlus, and today we're in Kaohsiung for Jeremy Lin's first game in Taiwan.
a warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. A report says dozens of Chinese military balloons have flown into Taiwan's airspace in recent years. A senior Taiwanese official told the UK's Financial Times the last flight took place just a few weeks ago. He said they occur, quote, very frequently. The report said the balloons seen over Taiwan were developed by a weapons division of China's top military body, the Central Military Commission. The news comes as alleged Chinese spy balloons over North America have strained relations between the U.S. and China. The U.S. shot down another flying object on Sunday, the 4th since the start of the month. China says that U.S. high-altitude balloons flew over Chinese airspace without permission more than 10 times last year. It comes as the United States says it shot down several high-altitude flying objects around its airspace this weekend. Hsiao Bi-khim reports.
In 3 days, the United States has shot down 3 unidentified objects flying in or near its airspace. It's just over a week after the U.S. downed a balloon that defense officials say was a Chinese surveillance device. The balloon had traveled over the continental United States for several days before being brought down in the Atlantic Ocean. U.S. officials are now scrambling to figure out what these objects are, but many details are still up in the air.
I'm not going to categorize them as balloons. We're calling them objects for a reason. Certainly the event off the South Carolina coast for the Chinese spy balloon, that was clearly a balloon. These are objects. I am not able to categorize how they stay aloft.
On Friday, February 10th, the U.S.'s Northern Command says it shot down an object off the coast of northern Alaska. It said it wasn't clear how the device was being powered or controlled. The next day, the U.S. military shot down another object in Canada's Yukon Territory, about 160 kilometers from the U.S. border. Officials say this one was smaller than the others and was shaped like a cylinder. The Canadian government was quick to update the public.
Yesterday, NORAD confirmed that an unidentified object entered unlawfully Canadian airspace. It represented a reasonable threat to civilian aircraft, so I gave the order to take it down.
Then on Sunday, U.S. jets shot down a 4th object near Michigan. Details on these events are still scarce. But some analysts say that this could be a growing trend, with China sending multiple high-altitude devices close to U.S. territories to test the country's response.
Maybe that the Chinese are kind of probing U.S. defenses, kind of seeing what we'll notice, what we don't notice, what gets through, what doesn't get through. And then, so that's a possibility. They're just kind of seeing, testing out U.S. defenses.
Balloons are a fraction of the cost of other aircraft like fighter jets, and they can fly far higher than many planes, making them harder to detect. But some speculate that this is not just a way to test another country's defensive capabilities. It could be an attempt to put sustained pressure on the opposing military to respond. It's similar to what Taiwan's military faces from China on an almost daily basis.
Another possibility, I think, too, is that this is, kind of designed to be cost imposing, and that it's similar to kind of what the PLA has done with Taiwan, where they'll often fly aircraft kind of near into Taiwanese airspace to try to wear down their air force. So.
Officials in the U.S. say it's the first time the military has shot down a foreign object over the continental United States. But as its military works to identify these items, the U.S. is also coming to terms with this new kind of threat, one that has already proven it can breach the country's borders. Leon Lien and Hsiao Bi-khim for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's defense ministry has reported that 18 Chinese warplanes were spotted around the country's airspace on Sunday. Among these, 11 planes flew into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. They also crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait. The ADIZ is not part of the country's territory, but serves as a buffer for security purposes. The Chinese flight group included a combat drone, 8 fighter jets, and other aircraft, including an anti-submarine helicopter. China, which considers Taiwan as part of its territory, often sends warplanes into the ADIZ as a form of political pressure. There have been over 150 incursions this year. Taiwan's military says it's monitoring the situation. Taiwan's Top Commerce Association has criticized a reported government plan to raise electricity fees for businesses. The government raised prices for large electricity consumers by 15% last year. This was largely due to soaring global energy prices, but representatives of the General Chamber of Commerce say this has been particularly tough on the hospitality sector. They say many restaurants and hotels have been struggling after their monthly costs jumped by more than $30,000. The government says a decision on whether to raise prices will be announced in April. The Commerce Chamber says that any rise in energy rates should be applied equally.
希望今年如果政府的预算不足，那么需要调整价格，我们觉得应该要全民调整，而不是对特定的大户来调整。
Taiwan's representative to the United States says she will continue to help make appropriate arrangements for U.S. politicians planning to visit Taiwan. Hsiao Bi-khim is currently in Taipei. She made a comment while responding to questions about a potential visit by a special U.S. committee on China. The chair of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael McCall, is planning a visit to Taiwan with a bipartisan delegation this spring. Hsiao also rebuffed questions about whether she has held meetings with Vice President William Lai. Rumors have circulated that the two could form a joint ticket to run in Taiwan's presidential election in 2024.
因应公务也就台美关系很多的面向来跟台湾各界交换意见那时间很短在各个领域包含这个经贸议题啦，这个外交议题国防等等很多的议题跟面向非常广泛的来跟我们相关的主管机关交换意见。
Officials in the eastern county of Hualien found that some of the area's coral reefs have been vandalized with glow-in-the-dark paint. Officials are now looking for the perpetrator. Bing Wang reports.
Graffiti arrows appearing one after another on this coral reef. In the eastern county of Hualien, in a scenic coastal spot called Bi-khim, tourists found more than 30 arrows spray-painted on the rocks. The graffiti seemed to be guiding people towards the coast. Bi-khim is a popular place for observing coastal geology and marine ecology. Locals and environmentalists were outraged over the vandalism.
bi khim 那个地方，它的那么美丽的海景，或是礁石啊、或些地形啊，它就这样子乱拿油漆去喷、去画，那这样子，我是觉得很缺德啊，而且又太过分了。
After receiving complaints about the graffiti, the East Coast National Scenic Area officials began reviewing footage to find the offending artist. Officials also discovered the paint used was glow-in-the-dark. And after the initial investigation, they say a fisherman might have been the culprit.
这个喷漆非常特别，晚上可以反光的漆，所以我们推估也访问了一些当地的居民跟清洁人员，有可能是钓客所为，所以我们现在正在调阅相关的监视器。
Taiwan's laws say those who permanently damage the natural environment can be fined up to $165,000. So whoever's responsible for this graffiti should hope it can be cleaned off without destroying the coral reefs. As Daniel Zhou and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Former NBA star and Taiwanese-American Jeremy Lin made his official debut for the Kaohsiung 17 Live Steelers on Sunday. Our reporter Ed Moon was on the scene to see how he performed.
Jeremy Lin has had a long and storied NBA career, from New York to Los Angeles and a championship in Toronto. Now he's starting the next chapter of his career here in Taiwan, and we're at Fengshan Stadium in Kaohsiung for his first game.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Lin. Lin
Quite the bounce back we were expecting. Not easy living there. This time the Harker all net. Hey, you never give up on the play.
Lin stormed into the global consciousness during a magical run for the New York Knicks back in 2012. He went from a player fighting to stay on an NBA team to a household name for basketball fans. The first NBA player of Taiwanese descent, Lin became a role model for Asian Americans. After the NBA, Lin moved to China for several years before signing with the Kaohsiung 17 Live Steelers in Taiwan's Plus League. And it's fair to say, fans are excited. 你今天是来看谁？看林书豪，
因为我觉得很厉害，他是算台湾人啊，虽然是台裔的华人，美籍的华人，然后可以打进 NBA， 我觉得他真的很厉害。
Pulling up from way downtown, and that is what we want to see.
Lin had the fans on their feet right from the start, while reminding everyone of his on-court ability and his leadership skills.
The no-looking passes. Little Lou beating a pointer to the cup.
Wow. At half-time, Lin was just one assist shy of a double-double, leaving fans eager for more.
很厉害，他今天很厉害。
最后我猜应该是24分了，差不多24分到28分之间。
应该也会24分，应该。
Tough turnaround shot. He gets it through.
Well, they weren't far off. Lin finished with an impressive stat line of 21 points and 13 assists, leading the Steelers to a 95-80 victory over the Formosa Dreamers, and earning some Most Valuable Player chants from the crowd.
What a performance by Jeremy Lin.
And after the game, he praised his new coach for helping him link up so well with his teammates.
How would you rate your performance today, and why do you think you were able to link up with your teammates so well?
可能我们都在，就是有一点尴尬，包括今天就是也是他们守联防的时候，突然就是龙哥也教了我们一些很基本的原则，然后这是我第一次跟他们打联防的，所以都是要一边打一边学，一边打一边学。
An impressive performance then for Jeremy Lin on his Taiwan debut, giving the bottom-place Steelers some hope for the future. All eyes now turn to February 28th, where he'll face off against his little brother and the league-leading New Taipei Kings. Ed Moon and Howard Chang in Kaohsiung for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has won gold at the mixed-gender Youth Baseball 5 tournament in Malaysia. The sport, also called B5, is an indoor variant of baseball. It is played with 5 people on each side and is meant to be a low-cost, faster-paced version of the sport. The World Baseball Authority, the WBSC, organized the inaugural competition for teams in Asia. Taiwan went undefeated in the tournament, taking down rivals South Korea and China on its way to gold. With the win, Taiwan has qualified for the sport's first World Cup. That event's details have yet to be announced. A Taiwanese table tennis duo won a title in Jordan on Sunday. Zheng Yijing and Li Yuzhen won the women's doubles at a World Table Tennis Contender in Amman, beating Pritika Pavade and Camille Lutz of France. In a best-of-5 games final, Zheng and Li lost 2 out of the first 3 games and faced a match point in a 4th. They came back to take the 4th game and then won the 5th game decisively to seal the win. Coming up, we visit Carnival Taipei for a showcase of vibrant Latin American and Caribbean cultures.
Thanks for watching Taiwan Plus. For more great stories from Taiwan's outlying islands of Matsu and around the world, follow Taiwan Plus on social media.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Rescue teams in Turkey have pulled more survivors from the rubble of last week's massive earthquake, including a pregnant woman and 2 children. But the hope of finding more survivors is fading. The magnitude 7.8 quake, which struck Turkey and Syria on February 6, has killed at least 33,000 people. It's flattened thousands of buildings and damaged roads and runways. Turkish authorities say many apartment buildings that collapsed were not up to standard. They've begun detaining the contractors who built them. In Syria, the UN is working to open new channels to allow aid into the country. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has finished a 5-day trip of Japan. His visit was marked by agreements to increase security cooperation between the 2 countries. Marcos returns to the Philippines on Sunday after meeting with Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Both sides pledged to increase joint military exercises with a focus on maritime security and Coast Guard operation. It was Marcos' first bilateral trip as president. This comes as his country looks for allies to help deter an increasingly aggressive China. For more on what further cooperation between the Philippines and Japan could mean for the region, our reporter Hsiao Bi-khim spoke to Aaron Matthew Lariosa, a security analyst based in Washington, D.C.
Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has just wrapped up his trip to Japan. What came out of this trip?
The most significant thing security-wise would probably be the disaster relief treaty, the terms of reference that the 2 parties did. That's pretty big, all things considered, because that's been roughly the main point of engagement between the Philippine military and Japanese militaries. In fact, actually, this is really crucial because the Philippine delegation to Turkey in response to the earthquake, the Army sent the 525th Engineering Combat Brigade Battalion, and that unit received Japanese training, which really does show the amount of cooperation these 2 parties go through. Another big point that was brought up, interestingly, by Marcos is the joint Philippine Coast Guard and JICA cooperation on a potential base for Japanese-built Coast Guard vessels in Subic Bay. That's pretty big because we've been seeing a lot of Japanese involvement with Philippine maritime security, especially regarding the Philippine Coast Guard.
We've seen an increase in Japanese and Philippine security cooperation. Why is this happening now?
The framework is probably, I'd say, of all the countries in Southeast Asia, the Philippines would probably been the go-to for Japan starting at the bat. Philippine-Japanese relations, diplomatic ties have been going back really far back. The Philippines has received a lot of development support from Japan dating back to the 60s and 70s, so this is a really concrete relationship. Recently, I'd say there's more on the part of Japan's role in the Indo-Pacific, especially with their motto, a free and open Indo-Pacific. That's why you see so much Japanese backing. For example, 12 patrol vessels they've given the Philippine Coast Guard through loans, maritime security enhancement projects, and all this type of stuff. It's really due to the recent shift in Japanese policies that has allowed this cooperation to, let's just say, take a more prominent role in security.
That was Aaron Matthew Lariosa, an independent security analyst speaking to Hsiao Bi-khim. There are many thousands of foreigners living in Taiwan. A small but significant minority of them are from Latin America and the Caribbean. Every year, these residents celebrate their culture here by throwing a big carnival. Sally Jensen went to catch some of the action.
Colors, dancing, music. Bienvenidos a Carnival Taipei. This yearly event in Taipei showcases the cultures of various Latin American and Caribbean countries whose nationals are living, working, studying, or just visiting Taiwan. The event features typical dances, stalls serving typical cuisine, snacks, clothes, and crafts from this reporter's mother country, Peru. It's a chance for local Taiwanese to get a taste of cultures from the other side of the world. Of the approximately 750,000 foreign residents registered in Taiwan, around 3,400 are from the Latin American and Caribbean region. Many of them come from 8 of Taiwan's 14 diplomatic allies. This is Latin America and the Caribbean. In Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, and Belize maintain diplomatic ties with Taiwan. While in the Caribbean, there's Haiti, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In South America, the only country that retains ties with Taiwan is Paraguay. But this could change if Paraguay's pro-Beijing opposition leader wins the upcoming elections this April. It would join Nicaragua, which was the last Latin American country to break ties with Taiwan in favor of China in 2021. Many of the carnival goers are students who benefit from scholarships offered to citizens of Taiwan's diplomatic allies.
For us, it's really, really important because in Paraguay, we don't have that much of opportunities. For example, to speak English or to learn new languages. And of course, we don't have that variety of options that we have here.
Other diplomatic representatives expressed the importance of their country's friendship with Taiwan.
It is not just friends in the, state way in which you think, oh, they're just an ally. We are friends. We are truly friends, and we stand with Taiwan and we stand for Taiwan, as we have been doing for 42 years.
Organisers hope that the event will showcase authentic Latin American and Caribbean cultures to Taiwanese people.
We are very happy and very lucky that to have a lot of people are in touch and in love with Latin American or Caribbean culture, but sometimes they don't have the chance to get the real deal, like, oh, this is a real Brazilian, this is a real Guatemala, this is a Peruvian. Sometimes you just put the head in like,
The carnival shows off the things Latin America is most famous for: dancing, food, crafts and costumes.
And while the weather may not be as hot and sunny today as we get back home, at least here we can find a warm community and the comfort foods we miss most. Andy Scher and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Hundreds of lanterns lit up New Taipei's Pingxi district over the weekend. The area's Sky Lantern Festival attracts tens of thousands of visitors to the old mining town each year. But this year, some of the lanterns look a bit different than usual. Yu Jinghuang was there to find out why.
Carrying messages of hope, these two large heart-shaped lanterns lift off with hundreds of smaller ones close behind. People gaze in awe at the night sky as they float away. These sky lanterns are specially made for this year's Pingxi Sky Lantern Festival, which comes just ahead of Valentine's Day. Many friends, families, and lovers have come to send up their own wishes. The eye-catching scenes from this festival have drawn visitors from around the world to explore Taiwan's traditional culture. It's made Pingxi a major tourist spot in northern Taiwan. But during the 19th century, the area was lawless and unstable. Back then, sky lanterns were used to signal to residents that it was safe to return home. As the area developed, the paper lanterns began being used to carry people's hopes and desires to the gods.
I'm from Israel. We love Taiwan. It was a wonderful celebration, and our wishes is peace, help, and happiness to the whole world. Thank you, Shishini.
From India, and today my wish is just want to see the lantern, and I wish everyone to be happy this year. Yeah, I congratulate all who have the opportunity to see this in the real time.
But while the sight of so many glowing objects floating into the sky is indeed beautiful, the lanterns eventually come back down to Earth, impacting Pingxi's natural scenery. This has brought the event under fire from environmental groups over the years.
The day after the Pingxi Sky Lantern Festival, fallen lanterns are often seen in these woods. Cleaning up lanterns has become a popular activity, balancing cultural preservation and environmental protection.
Where the lanterns fall depends on the direction of the wind that night. To cover all that ground, several teams led by local cleanup group Outdoors Fun spread out across the surrounding area.
因为天灯节其实每一梯次一个晚上，可能就是好几百盏的天灯就释放出去。那我们针对这个情况，就是希望能够让环境赶快恢复干净，所以我们就会特别在 天灯节的隔天一大早，我们就会邀请就是有兴趣的朋友们、喜欢爬山的朋友们，就大家一起参加这个进山的活动，就是赶快针对昨晚大量释放的天灯，赶快做一些回收。
Pingxi already has a system in place that pays locals to recycle the lanterns. But this activity could present another opportunity for tourism in the area. As they walk around picking up the debris, participants can also enjoy the area's natural beauty.
放天灯觉得其实就是可以促进当地的经济，但是又利用这个进山的活动，也让它恢复原状，就是可以双赢的感觉这样。
The vibrant culture around the Sky Lantern Festival is hard to let go of, even for many environmentalists. And though dealing with the thousands of fallen lanterns can be a headache, more and more people are joining the effort to minimize their damage to the nearby landscape. By doing so, participants are helping ensure this activity can continue for years to come. Jeremy Lin, Leon Lian, and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
An annual marathon on Taiwan's offshore island of Teammen was back on over the weekend. It's the first time the event has taken place since the COVID-19 pandemic. The race kicked off on Sunday with around 8,000 people taking part. It's the 16th time the marathon has been held. This year's route went over a bridge completed last year that connects Teammen and the neighboring Lesser Teammen Island. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, we leave you with images of hundreds of Beatles cars parading in Brussels, Belgium. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.